the dark truth behind why you can't change chords on the guitar. It's not that dark, and it's really easy to fix. I think a lot of people have a problem when they're learning guitar with just knowing the note names on the fretboard, and you can go pretty far without knowing the note names on the fretboard, like just changing chords, and you can get pretty good that way. But I think it's really important to learn the notes on the fretboard. And there's not really any other instruments where you just kind of get into playing chords and things like that without actually knowing the note names. Like when you learn piano, you're gonna learn all the names of the notes and like the where they occur on the piano, right? Um, Same, especially when it comes to like winds or woodwind instruments or brass instruments. You have to know the note names because they're not visible on those instruments. And I think that a lot of the times people who play those instruments develop their musicality a lot quicker than guitar players do because we're just like, okay, fret numbers on strings, right? So I think it's important to learn the notes of the guitar, and it's pretty daunting, like because the notes occur a lot of different times on the guitar, but like sometimes they're in the same octave, um, which kind of is confusing because in most instruments one octave just happens in one place, right? Like on the piano, every G is in a different octave, right? But on the guitar, I have, and then, so that's three right there, and then when we go up above the 12th fret, that occurs one more time. So there's four right there. Um, so instead of thinking about the whole guitar neck, just sectionalize it to the chords you know. So whatever chords you know, learn the notes in that chord and just know those. And then that's gonna, you can fill in the blanks after that, right? So if you're talking about, I love using G because it's kind of a difficult chord to play, I guess, because there's a stretch and you're trying to keep your fingers up to let the open strings ring through when you're playing, right? When you're first starting, this is kind of challenging, right? So G, we start with that. Um, so what are the notes of the G chord? So you're gonna have G, that's your root or your tonic, so that's your third fret on the E string. Then second fret on the A string, you've got B, that's your third, and then you've got open on the D string, and that's your fifth, right? And if you know power chords, you know that's your perfect fifth, right? Same thing, and then the notes just happen again, kind of in different places on the strings after that. So then you have your open G, you have an open B. I like to fret the third fret on the B string for another D. I think it just sounds a little bit more full. And then you're back to G here, third fret on the high E string. So you got, I'll play it once with the open B, and I'll play it again with the fretted D. I just really like the sound of that fretted D note in there. I just think it makes the chord sound a lot like fuller. But yeah, that's it. There's just three different notes in the chord, and then they just happen a couple of different times across all the strings. So that kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of trying to learn all the notes everywhere, right? Just start with those. So that's three notes. And that's gonna be a great start there. And then whatever your next chord in the song that you're working on, let's say it's C major. I was to play that like C kind of nine thing, right? So what notes make up C major? So you're gonna have C, that's your root, the tonic, so that's third fret on the A string. Then you're gonna have an E, second fret on the D string, open G there. So those are your three notes, and then you go back to C, and then you got E. Right? So three notes again, and they're just all kind of played Well, two of them are played twice in that chord, the C and the E. So your root and your third, and just that alone, that's a great start, right? So now that's like, what do we have there? Four. I guess it's only really like five different notes because of two chords, but some of those notes are in both chords. Anyways, note count aside, it is a good place to start because when you start playing guitar solos, those are probably going to be your target notes, right? Like if you're playing over G major, you're going to target those notes. Just your root, third, and fifth. Right? And that's going to be the same over every chord. And now the only difference, so when you're forming a chord, if it's major, your second note is going to be like technically four semitones away from your root note, right? So G, G sharp, A sharp, B, that's your third, right? And so all the third means is it's the third note in the G major scale. So if I was playing G major scale, there's one sharp and it's F sharp. So all the other notes are natural. So I'm going to go G, A, B. So that's the third note. Then when I want to find the fifth, okay, so the fourth is C, D's the fifth, right? So that's how you make a major scale. And then for a minor scale, all I'm doing is I'm just reducing the distance between my root and my third by one fret. So I'm going to actually be only three semitones up from my root. So we can just do that. So I went, instead of fretting this B in the second fret, I fretted the B flat in the first fret. And so that's a G minor. So instead of going to a major third, I go to a minor third. And that's the only note that changes between being a major chord and a minor chord, is just the third. So you're just dropping a semitone on the third, and then that's going to make the chord minor after that. When you get into seventh chords, it does change a little bit because you got to also change the seven. But don't worry about that now. Just worry about these basic, like, beginner chords, and then you can worry about that sort of extra stuff after, which is a lot of fun to play around with, and you can produce some pretty nice sounds out of that. And with scales, as far as the scales go, there's a little bit to it with learning your key signatures and things like that, but as far as just kind of figuring it out on the guitar, you're always gonna, with the major scale, you're gonna go, so your root up of a tone, so two semitones, you're gonna have your second, so that's A, then you're gonna have another whole tone, that's gonna be your B, then a semitone, tone, whole tone, 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 semitone, right? So that's how you make your major scale. So tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So that's the formula just to make a major scale. And I won't talk about the minor scale right now. But a cheat code with the minor scale, if you start on the sixth note of your major scale, that's gonna, and just play all the same notes that would be in the minor scale, or the major scale, that's gonna give you your minor scale. So if I'm playing in G major and I start on E, which is down a third or up a sixth, I'm gonna just play all the same notes that would happen in the G chord. So E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. And so that's just basically how you can sort of get into scales right there. I wouldn't just recommend trying to learn the up and down the fretboard, just going up a semitone at a time, because then you're just learning a pattern. You're not really learning the scale, or the key signature, right? You just know that pattern. But anyways, when you're learning the chord, and you kind of know your three notes off of that chord, then maybe you can start playing with that scale idea. And this is getting a little more in depth than I wanted to, because I think it's just a lot of information all at once. But yeah, those three notes of the chord, just repeated across the fretboard, that's gonna really get you far, as far as like just knowing the notes on the fretboard, and then eventually getting into soloing and improvisation, because you're just gonna target the notes that belong in that chord. So yeah, start learning the notes on the fretboard. And like I said, I know you can go far just strumming along and just knowing that the chords are the chords, because that's just how it is. But if you want to get a little bit farther as a guitarist, I think that you do need to really know this, what makes the chord, and what makes it work, and what's going to work within it, or over top of it, right? And I'm struggling with that. Like, I've been playing guitar since I was 8 or 9. I'm almost 36 now, and I'm just learning this stuff, because now I'm like, well, I want to take this a little farther than I have, right? I developed some okay speed and dexterity, um, but no, I just want to know more with my musicianship, and it's hard to consider myself a musician because of that, because I don't like the application of the music theory I know is really difficult, for me, because I've always just kind of kept it separate from actually playing the guitar. And I think it's going to help anybody out there, even just with changing chords. It just kind of contextualizes what you're doing, and it just makes it make a little bit more sense. And then eventually you learn that, all the notes outside of those chords aren't lava. Like, you're gonna be able to do stuff with those notes in between. You just have to know what they are, and what you can do with them, and how they kind of can apply within the context of like a solo or a melody and things like that. And then you can keep expanding on that. And on that note, I'm going to end this video. I hope this is helpful, and yeah, keep playing. If you're out there, keep playing, and keep progressing, and don't get discouraged by stuff. There's a lot of resources on the internet that are available, and if I could have been of any help in your guitar playing journey, I'm really happy for that. Thanks for watching.